These are the three teams that I'm telling you right now. Nobody wants to have to face them. Each one has the tools to go far deeper than just a second round exit. And the first out of the three teams that I want to highlight are the Houston Rockets. And I've got three clear reasons why. Let's start off with what's been their identity all season long: defense. The Rockets have been bought in on that end all year, and come playoff time, it's still holding strong. Despite the fact they're facing one of the most impressive offensive systems in basketball history, Houston's defense has been nothing short of stifling. Through the first two games of the series against Golden State, they've posted an incredible defensive rating of just 102.2 points per 100, the second best mark in the playoffs, trailing only Oklahoma City. Their aggressive, pressure-heavy approach causes chaos, but not every team has the ability to play like Houston does, at least not on the level of the Rockets. And that's because not every team has the kind of athletic, versatile defenders that they do in Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks, and Tari Eason. That depth of disruptive talent has been a key, and it's showing now more than ever. Then when you factor in the injury to Jimmy Butler, with Jimmy out, the Rockets were able to send even more attention towards Steph Curry, and it worked once again. In Game 2, they held him to just 20 points on 6 of 15 shooting, while also managing to force him into 6 turnovers. If Butler can't go in Game 3, which is a likely outcome given his questionable status, you can bet that the Rockets would once again throw the kitchen sink at Steph, and even if Jimmy returns, they'd probably do the same and bet on Jimmy not being as good now that he's playing through that hip injury. And we have seen this movie before. When Houston have the ability to just zone in on Steph, they've shown an ability to make life incredibly difficult for him, like their last regular season meeting where Jimmy wasn't looking aggressive, so Houston threw everything they had at Steph and managed to hold him to just 3 points on 1 of 10 shooting, along with 4 turnovers. And that kind of defensive effort won't just help them now. It's the kind of thing that I genuinely believe can carry them through multiple rounds of playoff action as long as they handle business here in round 1. But it's not just their defense, because the second reason why I'm high on Houston has to do with the team's biggest swing factor: Jalen Green's scoring. When Jalen goes off, they're nearly unbeatable, as this team simply wins. During the regular season, they went 13-1 in games where he had at least 30. That's ridiculous, but it makes complete sense. They bring elite defense every night, so when the offense is able to catch up, really nobody's been able to beat them. In Game 2, we saw the best version of Jalen Green: 38 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, and shooting over 50% from the field. And it wasn't just one hot stretch. He was getting it done all throughout the course of the game, looking every bit like a superstar. But here's the catch. Rockets fans know this story all too well. Jalen's biggest issue is his consistency. In Game 1, he had a rough performance, managing only 7 points on 3 of 15 shooting. And a lot of that, in my opinion, comes down to the way he plays. Too often, he just charges right at the rim without a reliable in-between game. He doesn't yet have a go-to shot. Whether it's a mid-range pull-up or a floater, something needs to be added to his arsenal. Right now, he leans heavily on a tough step-back 3 or trying to use his athleticism to finish at the rim, both of which are great when it's working, but are historically difficult to depend on consistently. If you look at the league's greatest scorers, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Durant, they all had one key move that they could get to, the shot that they knew they could hit in a pinch. I believe Jalen Green needs that shot. Whether it is a floater or a mid-range jumper, adding a reliable go-to shot would take his game and the Rockets to a new level. I'd love to see him come back next season with something in his bag that he knows he can get to on any possession. Even think about a guy like Chris Paul. You can visually see him in your brain right now go to that elbow jumper and knock it down. Jalen Green just needs to have a shot that he can get to in a pinch and punish a defense, because right now his game is just a little bit too reckless. Now, the third reason I think the Rockets can go deeper than people expect is a little bit more under the radar, but it's powerful. Their jumbo lineup. The trio of Alperen Şengün, Steven Adams, and Jabari Smith Jr. have been a nightmare for Golden State so far. Over the course of just 32 playoff possessions, this group has been ridiculous. They've posted an outstanding net rating of plus 26.1 with a defensive rating of just 64.5. Yep, that isn't an error. 64.5, which obviously puts them in the 100th percentile. They've held Golden State to just 38.5% effective field goal shooting and have absolutely dominated the glass, grabbing rebounds on 54% of their misses while allowing Golden State to just 11% on theirs. Those are wild numbers. Sure, their offense in that lineup has been far from elite, as they've only managed to score 90.6 points per 100 possessions, but when you're able to be that dominant defensively and on the boards, it almost doesn't matter. We saw it in Game 1 when this group went on a huge run early in the fourth quarter to swing momentum back in Houston's favor. This is a weapon they discovered, and it's something that absolutely should be leaned upon moving forward. The Jimmy Butler injury is obviously a huge storyline in this series, but even if he does return, I still think Houston has enough to get out of round 1, and if they do, they've got the size, defense, and potential firepower to give a team like the Lakers or the Timberwolves, their potential second round matchups, a real contest. But they have to finish the job against Golden State first. Time will tell, but don't be surprised if the Rockets make a deeper run than anybody expected. Now, the second team I truly believe could go way further than people expect is the Los Angeles Clippers. Just like Houston, I've got 3 key reasons as to why I think this squad is being slept on, but genuinely has the pieces to make a deep run and possibly even win the West. Let's start off with the most obvious reason. Kawhi Leonard. Simply put, he's been playing some of the best basketball we've ever seen from him in a Clippers uniform. Now, when head coach Ty Lue was asked if this is the best version of Kawhi he's ever coached, he actually said no, pointing to the first round series against the Dallas Mavericks back in the bubble. And fair enough, Kawhi did average 32.8 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 2.3 steals per game on 53% shooting in that series, as he was incredibly dominant. But I'd argue that this current version of Kawhi isn't far off at all. In fact, when it comes to scoring, I think he's better right now. Through the first 2 games of this year's postseason against Denver, Kawhi has been putting up an incredible 30.5 points and 2.5 steals per game while shooting a scorching hot 70% from the floor, 50% from 3, and 100% from the line. That is just absurd efficiency. In Game 1, he shot 60% from the floor and added 22 points with 3 steals. However, he also had 7 turnovers, which ended up being a major reason why the Clippers dropped that game. But in Game 2, Kawhi was a machine. He put up 39 points, dished out 5 assists, grabbed 2 steals, and shot a ridiculous 78% from the field, all the while being smart with the ball in hand, recording just 1 turnover. It was one of the most efficient and commanding performances I've seen from him in years. The Nuggets had no answer all night, as he missed only 4 shots in the game. Right from the opening jump to the final buzzer, Kawhi completely dominated the Denver Nuggets in their own building. If Kawhi keeps playing like this, it's going to take nearly flawless basketball from any other team to take the Clippers out. Then the second reason why I believe in the Clippers is because of their great defense, an area that's been their backbone all season long. Now, their defensive rating in the playoffs so far might not jump off the page. They currently sit 8th out of the 16 teams with a defensive rating of 110.3, but that number becomes way more impressive when you realize who they're up against: the Denver Nuggets, the second best offensive team in the league. To still rank in the top half of the league under those circumstances is no small feat. The Clippers are loaded with versatile switchable defenders who can guard multiple positions effectively. Guys like Chris Dunn, Ben Simmons, Nicholas Batum, Derek Jones Jr., and of course Kawhi himself. They've They've got the ability to throw so many different looks at you defensively, and it's a complete nightmare to deal with. And anchoring all of it is Ivica Zubac, who's quietly been one of the more solid rim protectors in the league. He simply doesn't get the same praise of some of the league's flashier big men, but he's been a rock in the paint for the Clippers. During the regular season, the Clippers were the third best defensive team in basketball, giving up just 109.4 points per 100 possessions. And that was not an accident. It was largely born out of necessity. With Kawhi missing time earlier in the year and the offense really struggling to find any rhythm, the Clippers had to lean into their defense to stay afloat. That identity stuck, and now it's one of the more reliable weapons in basketball. That brings me to their third reason, their offense, which is what actually might push them over the top. I know the Clippers have been known for their defense all season long, but lately it's the offense that's turned into their biggest strength. Over the course of the whole regular season, they only ranked 15th in offensive rating, putting up just 114.3 points per 100, which doesn't sound all that special, but those numbers simply are not telling you the full story. Since Kawhi's return, and as the team's chemistry has grown, the offense has gone to another level. Over the final 15 games of the regular season, the Clippers were the best offense in the league, scoring 123.1 points per 100 possessions. That is elite. They've got a three-headed scoring machine with Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Norman Powell, all whom can create their own shot and carry the scoring load when needed. James Harden has embraced a role as the team's floor general, knowing exactly when he needs to take over and facilitate. Kawhi, as mentioned, has been robotic in his efficiency, getting to his one dribble pull-up with ease, cashing it in like it's pre-programmed or something. Then you've got Norman Powell, who can slide in and fill any role needed, as if Kawhi and Harden are rolling, he's happy to sit in the corner and spot up to knock down shots, but if one of them are struggling, he's more than capable of stepping up and putting up shots himself. Zubac also deserves more love on offense. He's quietly put up 16 points per game across the season, punishing mismatches in the post and doing the dirty work in the paint. He screens hard, his hands are reliable, and his ability to finish through traffic has been a major part of why the Clippers have become so dangerous in the half court. So while the Clippers have been known as a defensive juggernaut, their offense, led by rejuvenated Kawhi, a dialed-in James Harden, and a reliable supporting cast, is what might ultimately take them further than anybody expected. And when you combine both their strengths with the presence of a two-time Finals MVP, this is a team that has the potential to win the Western Conference and challenge anybody in the NBA Finals. Now, the final team I believe people are seriously sleeping on, the team that could go way further than anybody expects, is the Indiana Pacers. Now, yes, their defense has been significantly better than last year, and it does deserve credit, but let's not overcomplicate things here. There's one main reason why Indiana is built to make a deep playoff run, and it's their offense. Plain and simple. So far in the postseason, Indiana have the fourth best net rating out of all teams, outscoring Milwaukee by 12.6 per game over the first two games of the series. The only teams ahead of them, the Celtics, Cavaliers, and Thunder, all of which are playing play-in teams. That puts Indiana's performance into serious perspective. They've been legit on both sides of the ball, ranking second in offensive rating and sixth in defensive rating in the playoffs so far. But again, while the balance is great, their offense is going to carry them further than anyone thought possible. And it all starts with Tyrese Halliburton. Now, yeah, he was recently voted the most overrated player by his peers, and look, maybe there's a sliver of truth there, but no one can deny this one thing. Indiana's offense simply doesn't work without him. It's one thing to just rack up assists when you've got talented play finishers around you, but it's another to constantly hit guys where they want the ball and how they want it. Halliburton does this as well as anybody in the league. His pick and roll reads are next level, whether it's scoring when you sag off, making the easy drop-off pass, or zipping a cross-court skip pass right on the money. He is constantly one step ahead of you, and despite how many high-risk passes he does make, he is still one of the most effective playmakers in the league. Over the season, he put up 9.2 assists per game to just 1.6 turnovers. That is ridiculous. Then when you zoom out and look at the entire roster around him, it's basically tailor-made for what he does. Miles Turner is the perfect pick-and-roll partner, as he can roll to the rim, hit the short roll pop, or step out beyond the three-point line, where 9 times out of 10, he's going to be open. You've also got shooters and cutters everywhere, guys like Nembhard, Neesmith, Mathurin, Obi Toppin, and even Pascal Siakam, as they all know their roles and can hit the open looks that Tyrese generates for them. But the biggest difference maker this season has been Pascal Siakam. Siakam has been everything Indiana needed and more. Through the playoffs, he's averaging 24.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 steals on 58% shooting, while also knocking down an incredible 50% on his threes. That is elite level production. His ability to score at all 3 levels has given the Pacers a new dimension, and on top of that, he's been the ultimate Swiss Army knife. He's taken on the toughest defensive assignments night after night, as his assignment has been defending Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is obviously no small feat. And yeah, Giannis is still averaging 35 a night, but Indiana has been able to make life way harder for him than I think anybody could have ever expected. They've constantly mixed up their coverages, sending early doubles, late traps, and even randomly sending 4 guys at him, and it's working. They've disrupted his rhythm. Giannis has gone from 6.5 assists per game in the regular season to just 4 in this series. He's also averaging 4.5 turnovers per game, completely neutralizing his playmaking ability, the main thing that made this Bucks team go. And that's a direct result of Indiana's commitment to making him uncomfortable. What's really impressive is that the Pacers are doing all of this against arguably the worst possible matchup for them. Giannis is the kind of overpowering physical presence that really doesn't suit Indiana's defense, but they've been able to do just fine, giving their offense a chance to win games, and it's absolutely working, as at the time of recording this video, lead the series 2-0. That is what makes them so dangerous, not just to Milwaukee, but to anyone they might see in the coming rounds, especially a team like Cleveland. The Pacers are much better suited to defending smaller guard-heavy teams than guys like Giannis, and even against him, they've been holding their own. That fact alone should be terrifying for the rest of the Eastern Conference. So yes, this team might not be the scariest on paper, not boasting the same star power as other contenders, but with a top-tier offense, a rapidly improving defense, and one of the most creative engines in the league running the show, the Indiana Pacers are built to shock people. And speaking of surprises, here are 6 huge things that have been happening so far in round 1 that absolutely have the ability to reshape the entire playoff picture. And if you want to know what those 6 things are, you can check out this video right now.